Stop the music. The command cut through Whitney Houston's soaring voice like a mother's instinct, recognizing a child in desperate need. Through the blazing stage lights of Radio City Music Hall, Whitney was staring at something that made her forget she was performing for 6,000 screaming fans and millions watching the live HBO broadcast. What she witnessed next would transform everything she thought she knew about the true purpose of her gift. If you've ever felt called to use your talents to help others, hit that subscribe button. This story will show you why Whitney Houston's voice was about so much more than music. It was December 15th, 1992, at Radio City Music Hall. 7-year-old Emma Rodriguez was experiencing what doctors said would be her last Christmas. The aggressive brain tumor ravaging her small body for 18 months was finally winning. Memorial Sloan Kettering specialists had delivered devastating news just 5 days earlier. Less than 2 weeks to live. Her parents, Maria and Carlos Rodriguez, had made an impossible decision to bring Emma from Phoenix to New York for one final dream. Emma had been obsessed with Whitney Houston since age 4, when her sister played Greatest Love of All during a particularly brutal chemotherapy session. The song became Emma's anthem, and her hospital room was covered with Whitney posters and handwritten lyrics copied in careful 7-year-old handwriting. "Mommy, before I go to heaven, I want to hear Whitney sing to me," Emma had whispered 3 days earlier, her voice barely audible through the oxygen mask. "Her songs help me be brave." Carlos, a construction worker who'd never asked anyone for help, spent their remaining savings calling every contact in New York's entertainment industry. At 4:30 that afternoon, a miracle occurred. A friend working Radio City's technical crew secured 2 balcony seats. They weren't close, but Emma would have a clear view of her idol. Emma was so weak Carlos had to carry her up the red-carpeted steps. She wore her favorite white dress and a silver cross containing her most treasured possession, a tiny Whitney Houston photo cut from a magazine. A soft pink cap covered her head where beautiful dark hair once grew. For the first hour, Emma was in heaven. She mouthed every word to "One Moment in Time," "How Will I Know," and "Run to You," her voice lost in 6,000 people's roar, but her joy radiant to anyone watching. "This is the most beautiful night of my life, Mommy," Emma whispered during a costume change, eyes shining despite dark circles beneath them. Whitney's voice sounds like heaven. But what happened next shocked everyone in that legendary venue. When "I Will Always Love You" began echoing through Radio City's perfect acoustics, Emma's face transformed with energy that seemed medically impossible. This was her absolute favorite song, the one that carried her through countless nights of pain in hospital rooms. Whitney emerged center stage in a stunning white gown, possessing that otherworldly vocal instrument that made her the most celebrated singer of her generation. She was about 2/3 through the song, reaching the climactic vocal run that made it a worldwide phenomenon when everything changed. From the balcony, a child's voice cut through Whitney's powerful vocals like a silver thread of pure need. Emma Rodriguez was singing with such passion that her small voice carried over the orchestration and Whitney's microphone. This wasn't audience participation. This was a dying 7-year-old pouring her soul into what she knew would be her last chance to sing with her idol. Whitney stopped mid-phrase, squinting through stage lights, trying to locate this pure, childlike voice that somehow reached her heart across Radio City's vast space. The orchestra gradually reduced volume, then stopped entirely as 6,000 people realized something extraordinary was happening. Whitney walked to the stage edge, hands shading her eyes as she searched the balcony. The venue fell silent except for the sound system's soft hum and Emma's continued singing. "Sweetheart," Whitney called out, her voice carrying clearly through the venue and into millions of homes watching the HBO broadcast. "Are you singing my song up there?" Emma's parents looked at each other in shock. Their dying daughter's voice had somehow reached Whitney Houston across thousands of people in hundreds of feet. Maria lifted Emma as high as possible, and Emma's small voice called back with surprising strength, "Yes, Miss Whitney, I know all your songs. They help me not be scared when I'm sick." Those words hit Whitney like a physical blow. Here was a clearly ill child who'd found comfort in music Whitney sometimes took for granted. What Whitney did next had never happened in Radio City's 90-year history. "What's your name, baby?" Whitney asked, voice thick with emotion. Emma Rodriguez! I'm 7 and I love you so much. You make me feel brave. Whitney turned to her band, making a gesture that shocked everyone who knew her professional standards. She was stopping the song, stopping the entire HBO broadcast, about to turn Radio City into something it had never been, a healing space for one small girl needing a miracle. Ladies and gentlemen, Whitney announced to the stunned audience, I want you to meet someone special. Emma Rodriguez, will you come sing with me? The venue erupted in applause, but not usual celebrity applause. This was 6,000 people recognizing they'd witnessed something sacred, transcending entertainment to become pure human connection. Within minutes, unprecedented action unfolded. Radio City's security escorted the Rodriguez family from balcony through corridors to stage level. Emma was barely conscious from exhaustion and excitement, but awake enough to understand something magical was occurring. Are we really meeting Whitney Houston? She whispered. Yes, mija, Maria said through tears. Yes, we are. When Whitney helped lift 7-year-old Emma onto Radio City's stage, 6,000 people fell silent. America's sweetheart kneeling to embrace an obviously sick little girl was so powerful, so unexpected, nobody knew how to react. HBO cameras captured every moment, broadcasting this spontaneous compassion to millions. Ladies and gentlemen, Whitney said, voice breaking with emotion, meet my friend Emma Rodriguez. Emma's 7 and fighting the bravest battle anyone could fight. Emma's spirit is stronger than anything life has thrown at her. Tonight, Emma will help me finish this song. The applause was thunderous but respectful. The response when people understand they're witnessing something life-changing. Whitney guided Emma to the center stage piano. Despite weakness and overwhelming circumstances, Emma looked at the sea of faces and smiled the biggest, most radiant smile her parents had seen since her diagnosis. Emma's been practicing I Will Always Love You, Whitney announced. Would you like to hear us sing together? What followed was pure magic no rehearsal could create. Whitney sat at the piano bench, patting the space beside her. As she played the opening chords again, slower, more gentle, Emma placed tiny hands on keys next to Whitney's. She couldn't really play, but Whitney guided her fingers to right notes, making it appear they were performing as a duo. Whitney Houston and a dying 7-year-old sharing a piano bench while performing the most beautiful love song ever written was so moving, so transcendent. There wasn't a dry eye in the venue. HBO cameras captured everything, footage that would become one of television's most beloved moments. Whitney made subtle lyric changes, personalizing them for Emma. Then something more miraculous happened. Emma, despite weakness and overwhelming circumstances, began singing harmony with Whitney. Her small, sweet voice blended with Whitney's powerful instrument in ways both heartbreaking and beautiful beyond description. The audience sang along too, but quietly, respectfully, turning I Will Always Love You into a gentle anthem for this courageous girl. 6,000 strangers sang as one voice, creating collective healing and hope. When the song concluded, Whitney did something that became legendary among witnesses. She removed her diamond earrings, signature sparkly hoops that were a gift from Mother Cissy Houston, worn through her most important performances. These are for you, Emma, Whitney whispered, though the microphone caught her words. Every time you wear them, remember you're loved by everyone here and millions watching. Your voice matters, and your courage inspires us all. Emma had her own surprise. As Whitney helped her from the piano bench, the little girl reached into her small purse, pulling out folded paper, handwritten greatest love of all lyrics copied during a hospital stay. This is for you, Miss Whitney, Emma said, voice surprisingly strong. I wrote your words because they help me remember I have the greatest love of all inside me, even when I'm scared or sick. Whitney's composure broke completely. She knelt, embracing Emma while tears streamed down her face, holding this brave girl as if she could transfer her own strength into Emma's fragile body. You're not going anywhere, sweetheart, Whitney whispered, words audible throughout the venue. You're going to fight this, and I'll help you every step. Whitney completed the concert with Emma and her parents in the front row, dedicating remaining songs to my brave friend Emma Rodriguez. After the show, she spent 2 hours with the family, signing photographs, sharing stories, making a life-changing promise. I'm ensuring Emma gets the best medical care available, Whitney told Carlos and Maria. I want to stay connected through this whole journey. Whitney kept her word beyond anyone's imagination. For 3 weeks, doctors projected time remaining. Whitney called daily. She arranged treatment at the country's best pediatric oncology center, expenses covered through a fund she established specifically for the family. The most remarkable part was Emma's medical response after that magical Radio City night. After meeting Whitney, something changed in Emma's entire physiology, Dr. Patricia Martinez reported 6 months later. Her response to previously ineffective treatments suddenly improved dramatically. White blood cell count stabilized, energy increased, and most importantly, her will to live became superhuman. Emma Rodriguez didn't die in 2 weeks. She lived 8 more years. 8 medically impossible years. 8 years of private music lessons Whitney arranged and funded. 8 years of personally signed birthday cards from Whitney, who never forgot special occasions. 8 years of front row seats whenever Whitney performed within 500 miles of Phoenix. During those years, Emma became like Whitney's daughter. They talked regularly, and Whitney visited when tours brought her southwest. Emma joined Whitney on stage 3 more times, including a memorable Las Vegas performance where they sang Greatest Love of All for celebrities and industry professionals. After Radio City, Maria said years later, Emma wasn't afraid anymore. She knew she was loved not just by us, but by Whitney and thousands touched by her story. It gave her incredible fighting strength. When Emma finally passed in 2000 at 15, she wore the diamond earrings Whitney gave her that December night. In her hands were personal letters from Whitney, chronicling 8 years of friendship, encouragement, and unconditional love. Whitney's response revealed their bond's depth. She flew to Phoenix immediately, speaking at Emma's funeral, performing I Will Always Love You one final time. But this time she sang with lyrics Emma had written, new words expressing a child's understanding of love, hope, and life's journey beyond. Funeral attendees revealed Whitney had quietly supported not just Emma's medical care, but family living expenses, siblings' education, and a college fund ensuring opportunities previously financially impossible. Whitney's greatest tribute came through the foundation she established in 2001, the Emma Rodriguez Foundation for Pediatric Music Therapy. Its mission brought healing music to children facing life-threatening illnesses, based on Whitney's belief that her Emma encounter proved music's life-saving ability. The foundation expanded internationally, operating programs in children's hospitals across 25 countries. They've provided music therapy to over 75,000 children and funded research scientifically demonstrating music's positive impact on pediatric cancer treatment outcomes. Emma taught me my voice wasn't just entertainment, Whitney said during the foundation's 10th anniversary. It was a healing tool for hope, showing children they're not alone in struggles. Every note since Radio City has carried Emma's courage. Today, the foundation continues honoring Emma's courage and Whitney's compassion. Los Angeles headquarters features a Radio City stage recreation where Emma and Whitney first met, complete with the same piano where they shared their magical duet. Children visiting for music therapy often request sitting at that piano, many choosing I Will Always Love You as part of their healing journey. The song became a hope anthem for young cancer patients worldwide, representing human connection's power to transcend difficult circumstances. HBO footage of Whitney and Emma's performance has been viewed over 100 million times, inspiring countless kindness acts and support for children facing serious illnesses. More importantly, it permanently reminds us that life's most meaningful moments happen when we stop and respond to others' needs for love and connection. Whitney Houston and Emma Rodriguez's story teaches us that fame and talent are meaningless unless used to lift others. Whitney could have finished her song, completed her HBO special, gone home celebrating another successful performance. Instead, she chose to see one small girl's need as more important than professional obligations. She gave Emma 8 more years, gave 6,000 people a treasured memory, and gave us all a perfect example of using gifts in love service. Emma Rodriguez died in 2000, but her voice lives in every child finding courage through music, every note played in pediatric cancer wards worldwide, and hearts of everyone believing the greatest love of all exists within us, waiting to be shared with those needing it most. But the story doesn't end with Emma's passing. What happened next revealed the true depth of how that December night had transformed Whitney Houston forever. In the months following Emma's funeral, Whitney began experiencing what she later described as a spiritual awakening. She started visiting children's hospitals unannounced, often arriving after midnight when the wards were quiet, carrying nothing but her voice and a small keyboard. These weren't publicity events, no cameras, no press releases, just Whitney and sick children sharing music in hospital rooms across America. Dr. Sarah Chen, who worked at Children's Hospital Los Angeles for 20 years, estimates Whitney visited over 500 children between 2000 and 2005. She'd show up at 2 a.m. wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses, asking which kids couldn't sleep, Dr. Chen recalled. Then she'd sit by their beds and sing lullabies until they felt peaceful. She never wanted credit. She said Emma taught her that healing was a two-way street. When you help someone feel better, you feel better too. These midnight visits led to Whitney's most profound musical work. In 2003, she began recording what would become her most personal album, Letters to Emma, featuring 12 songs inspired by her friendship with the young girl. The album was never released commercially. Instead, Whitney had thousands of copies made and distributed them free to pediatric cancer wards worldwide. One of those songs, 7 Years of Grace, contained lyrics that Emma had written during her extended life after Radio City. Whitney discovered the lyrics in a notebook Emma's mother gave her after the funeral. The song became Whitney's private anthem, something she sang to herself during difficult times, remembering the strength of a 7-year-old who had faced death with such courage. The Foundation's research began uncovering something remarkable. Children who received music therapy showed not just emotional improvements, but measurable physical changes. Heart rates stabilized during singing sessions. Stress hormone levels decreased significantly. Most surprisingly, many children showed improved immune system responses after regular music therapy sessions. Dr. Michael Rodriguez, no relation to Emma but inspired by her story to specialize in pediatric oncology, published groundbreaking research in 2004 proving what Whitney had intuitively understood that night at Radio City. Music therapy doesn't just make children feel better, his study concluded. It creates actual biological changes that can enhance the body's ability to heal itself. Emma Rodriguez may have been our first documented case, but she wasn't our last. The Foundation began tracking what they called Emma events, instances where children facing terminal diagnoses experience unexpected medical improvements after intensive music therapy. By 2005, they had documented over 200 such cases. While not all resulted in complete recovery, every child showed some degree of improvement beyond medical predictions. Whitney's transformation wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. Friends noticed she'd become more spiritual, more grounded, less focused on commercial success. After Emma, Whitney understood her purpose differently, said longtime friend Alicia Keys. She realized her voice was a gift meant to heal, not just entertain. That little girl had taught her what true stardom looked like. This shift influenced Whitney's approach to her own career. She began turning down lucrative concert opportunities that didn't align with her new mission, instead choosing smaller venues where she could create more intimate connections with audiences. She established Hope Nights, monthly concerts at smaller venues where half the audience consisted of families dealing with childhood illness, all attending free of charge. The ripple effects extended to other artists. After hearing Emma's story, artists like Celine Dion, Mariah Carey, and later Taylor Swift began incorporating similar outreach into their careers. The Emma Rodriguez Foundation started hosting annual Healing Through Music conferences, where major artists shared strategies for using their platforms to support sick children. In 2006, something extraordinary happened that brought Emma's story full circle. A young girl named Sophia Martinez, fighting the same type of brain tumor that had threatened Emma, was admitted to Phoenix Children's Hospital. Sophia was 7 years old, exactly Emma's age when she met Whitney. And like Emma, she found strength in Whitney's music during her darkest treatment moments. Sophia's mother, desperate for any source of hope, wrote to the Emma Rodriguez Foundation, describing her daughter's situation. The letter reached Whitney personally, and she immediately flew to Phoenix. The meeting between Whitney and Sophia was documented by hospital staff as one of the most moving encounters they'd ever witnessed. Sophia reminded me so powerfully of Emma, Whitney said later. Same age, same courage, same love for music. When she sang Greatest Love of All for me in that hospital room, I felt like Emma was somehow there with us. Sophia's response to meeting Whitney mirrored Emma's miraculous improvement. Her condition stabilized, treatments became more effective, and she eventually achieved complete remission. Today, Sophia Martinez is a music therapist herself, working with children at the same hospital where she was treated. The foundation's work expanded internationally when Whitney partnered with UNICEF to bring music therapy programs to children in developing countries facing various health crises. By 2008, the Emma Rodriguez Foundation was operating in 40 countries, had helped over 150,000 children, and had trained thousands of medical professionals in music therapy techniques. Whitney's final public performance in 2009 was not at a major venue or awards show. Instead, she chose to perform at the Emma Rodriguez Foundation's headquarters in Los Angeles, singing for an audience of 200 children and families touched by the foundation's work. She closed that intimate concert with I Will Always Love You, dedicating it to Emma and to all the children who had taught her that love truly is the greatest gift of all. When Whitney passed away in 2012, the foundation she'd built in Emma's honor had become a global network of hope, proving that a 7-year-old girl's courage and a superstar's compassion could indeed change the world. Emma's mother, Maria, spoke at Whitney's memorial service, sharing words that captured the eternal bond between them. Emma taught Whitney how to heal others through music. Whitney taught the world how to heal through love. Together, they showed us that miracles aren't rare. They happen every time someone chooses compassion over convenience. Whitney Houston stopped her show for Emma Rodriguez. But really, Emma saved Whitney's show by reminding her, and us, what music is really for. Not entertainment, profit, or fame, but connection, healing, love. Love, as Emma and Whitney proved that magical December night, really works miracles. Sometimes it takes a 7-year-old's courage and a superstar's compassion to show us how. Every child deserves feeling the greatest love of all. That was Emma's gift to Whitney. That was Whitney's gift to the world. That continues being their shared legacy, healing one song, one child, one moment at a time.